The best arguments against regulating hate speech are that it does more harm than good. Censorship is completely inconsistent with individual liberty, equality, and indeed democracy itself. Censorship does more harm than good to the very causes that advocates of censoring hate speech hope to advance. Those goals are actually undermined through censorship rather than promoted by them. Freedom of speech is essential to our democratic self-government, where we, the people, have the sovereign power. We cannot exercise that responsibly or meaningfully unless we have access to information about our government and the opportunity to communicate with those we elect to represent us, and we cannot hold them accountable unless we are able to exercise robust freedom of speech, including the freedom to strongly criticize government officials and government policies.
Have you any idea how successful censorship is on TV? Don't know the answer? Successful, isn't it?
When everything breaks at the seams and you feel like you're losing belief, well, damn it, you just gotta stay strong when it all falls apart and goes wrong, when you feel let down and so lost and it feels like you can't hold on. Well, damn it, you just gotta stay strong, 'cause sometimes things go wrong and one day everything's gone, but you can make it out and move on. So damn it, you just gotta stay strong.
We had another video concerning about Mayor Eric Adams' major issues in New York City. But now we're going to switch gears and go north to Albany, to Governor Kathy Hochul, which is another issue here in New York. And now for her push for online censorship in New York City. New York City, New York State, violating the Constitution. She wants to violate the Constitution because she feels that, if it is that she feels, that basically because of what's going on in the opposite side of the world, that people shouldn't have an opinion to that nature. Now, before we get into this little article from CBS, understand the feelings to the situation. There's a lot of harsh words out there. Now, if someone agrees or disagrees with the policy of what's going on, that's okay to talk about. When you threaten violence to the situation, that's a different story. But people have the right to discuss the situation for and against what is going on. And the thing about it is, here's the funny part about the situation. Governor Hochul is not going to stop at what's going on in the Mideast. She's going to put people into play that are going to decide what is hate speech. Now, before we read into this, understand, there is no such thing as hate speech according to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court has ruled multiple occasions, up to a case in 2017 that outlined that someone's opinion, if someone else does not like an opinion, is not considered hate speech. By the First Amendment, they're allowed to talk about that. And the rights should not be violated. But out of, this comes from CBS News, with officials concerning about New York's facing looming threats of violence, Governor Kathy Hochul on Tuesday morning, announced new steps that she'll be taking to beef up security and deal with online threats and radicalization. The governor outlined several initiatives to stop hate speech online from becoming hate crimes in the state. Included in the plan is a $3 million to ensure every college campus has a threat assessment and management team on site to identify threats, targeted ads offered to help parents identify if their child's involved in a hate speech online, and media literacy tools for all public schools students to make themselves smarter about identifying misinformation online. What does that sound like to you? That sounds like shit that you would see in a freaking 1984, V for Vendetta, Fahrenheit 451, many novels and situations on there. Educate the children first. That controls the children as they grow up. You know, misinformation. What is misinformation? Who deems it misinformation? You're not going by the Constitution at that point. In order to have a proper conversation, you have to have an A and B conversation, you know. People say, we shouldn't be talking about this online. We shouldn't be talking. Why? Why? Let's continue on. The announcement came after CBS obtained a new threat assessment which points to increasing terror threat to New York State. The Intelligence Center warns that the spread of anti-Semitic and anti-Palestinian rhetoric on social media is fueling an increase in hate crimes targeting Jews, Muslims, and Arabs. The report says the expansion of Israeli operations against Hamas in the Gaza Strip and increased civilian casualties rise the likelihood that violent extremist threat actors will seek to conduct attacks against targets in the West, with New York State being a focus. Terror messaging has placed focus attacks on soft targets such as protests, group gatherings, and other public events. Hochul spoke about how online threat assessment teams will work. They are not looking at your Instagram sunset post or your tweets about your favorite football team. They're not here to penalize anyone for their political views, but they're going to. They're going to. Their simple goal is to find out what's driving hateful behavior and intervene early before harm is done, the governor said. She also reached out to social media companies to criticize them for not bettering monitoring hate online. They said they're monitoring for hate speech, and I like to say that there are instances where you're not successful. Please show them. Let's see the receipts. Let's see the receipts, Governor Hochul. Could you give us the receipts?
Show me the receipts!
Because the thing about it is that they talk about this, but they don't show you what people are saying. They'll say what people are saying, but are they saying that? See, is there mention? They say, well, they're threatening it. What are they threatening? Show us the actual piece of information, but they're not going to.
Honestly, I
you
don't.
can't name a single example.
I'll tell you why, because I don't actually use that for you feed anymore, because I just don't particularly like it.
But you said
actually, a lot of people are quite similar. I only look at
hang on a
my
second.
following.
You said you've seen more hateful content, but you can't name a single example, not even one.
I'm not sure I've used that feed for the last 3 or 4 weeks, and
Well, then how did you see the hateful content?
Because I've been using Twitter since you've taken it over for the last 6 months.
Okay, so then you must have at some point seen the for you hateful content. I'm asking for one example.
Right.
So ramp up the number of people who are in charge of monitoring, because if my state police can't find it, if the college students can't find it, the people you hire to find it, it should be able to do so and take it down immediately, Hochul said. The governor says hate crimes against Jews, Muslims, and Arabs have increased more than 400% since Hamas attacked Israel on October 7th. Yes, but let me ask you this, Governor. Did you stop the protest in front of the New York Public Library as they were defacing it? Did you shut down the protest on the bridges as they blocked bridges that they shouldn't have been blocking? They didn't have no right to block the right of way of people going in and out of the city of New York. Did you go after that? No. I mean, if they want to protest, they can protest peacefully. There are many places they can sit there, protest. They can, if they want to parade around, they can go get a approval from the city of New York if they approve them to that nature. But no, they're not going to. They're not going to, because a lot of these protesters are radicals, that they're anarchists that have just used this situation to continue their attack on the U.S. government, in every city. In the light of the report, Hochul said the NYPD and state police have stepped up security around Thursday's Macy's Thanksgiving parade. We already know what happened then, because when this article was written was before that. Are we living in a heightened threat environment? Absolutely. We've been heightened threat since 9/11. Are we seeing an increase in calls for violence? Absolutely. Those calls are coming from outside the country and inside. But there are no credible threats to the parade or to the New York at this time, said Jackie Bay, Commissioner of the Department of Homeland Security, New York State Division. Everyone should feel absolutely safe going out there and enjoying the holiday. Well, that didn't stop the people from gluing themselves to the freaking New York streets, did they? Or disrupting the parade multiple times. Or the person that was on the float that had the Palestinian flag behind a Native American group, which they have already denounced whoever that person was, that flag should not have been flying behind them on the float. And there were other people who tried to interject themselves during the live broadcast, but they were shut down before the cameras were able to get a video of them. The governor pointed out to the success of this month's marathon as proof that her team is remaining vigilant about securing all large-scale events that are happening in the city. She reminded all New Yorkers to be vigilant as well. The NYPD said there's no credible threats to New York events or to the city in general, but the police are seeing increased calls to violence online, and the head of NYPD Intelligence and Counterterrorism told CBS New York's Ali Ballin her office is monitoring the activity online and overseas to inform how their resources will be deployed for large events like the parade. Our heavy weapons team are blocker trucks, officers deployed throughout the route, Deputy Commissioner Rebecca Wine said. The department is stepping up security for this year's parade, part due to assessment from New York State Intelligence Center obtained by CBS News, which points out to the increasing terrorism threat to New York State since the war in Gaza began. What are you seeing and how are you monitoring all? Baughman asked. See, the thing about it is, understand this. Let me stop at this moment on there. A lot of these people are using stuff like WhatsApp app and many others, but they're targeting it secretly by code. We know this from Antifa. We've seen this on Crowder and many others that have brought this forward on YouTube, that these extremists that are here, which is, most of them are nothing to do with what's going on in Gaza, that they've chosen to attack this country, and Hochul hasn't done nothing about it. Merrick Adams hasn't done nothing about it. Okay, this is why NYPD hasn't stepped up. We have situations, we have crime situations, we have illegal protest situations in New York that should not happen. If someone wants to march up and down on a protest, they should file for it through City Hall. They're able to. Thing about it is that they don't want to, because what they're going to do is they're going to do a lot of illegal things to try to shut down New York City. Like I said, you've seen what they did to the New York Public Library. Who's going to clean that up? Guess where the money's going to come out to clean that up? But for those of you like me in New York, it's going to come out of our taxes. We're going to pay for that in higher taxes, in situations on that. I mean, we're suffering here. We're getting no respect for authority in New York City. We have crime issues. We have drug issues. We have illegal prostitution issues, illegal migrant issues. We have those who are attacking our infrastructure, destroying businesses for no reason whatsoever. This is not people going into a Starbucks smashing up. This is going into supermarkets, going into regular stores, disrupting the business. Moving on. Extremist and terrorist organizations across the spectrum is making statements generalizing call to action online rhetoric, real vital rhetoric, some bias incidents, hate crimes, Weiner said. The assessment warns terrorist messaging has placed focus on attacking soft targets such as protests and group gatherings. This, of course, comes days after Merrick Adams cuts 5% of the NYPD budget. Yeah, that's right. You know, the robots are not going to help. Tuesday said the department could face another round of cuts in January. Now, understand this. Hate speech, repeat this, hate speech doesn't exist. Can there be threats online? Yes, there can be. But understand this, and this is what they'll tell you. Show me where this is. You have people, okay, understand this. You have one part of the party that is slamming people that are bringing out what the truth is. Whether they're on the right, whether they're center, whether they are Democrats as well. And we've seen this. We've already seen this. When Twitter was taken over by Elon Musk, we've seen the receipts on what was done. There were people that were on lists. These were not activists. These were people in the media. People like Tim Pool, for example, was on a blacklist. And many other YouTubers. These are YouTubers. Regular people like me and many others who were put on lists because basically they did not like what the articles and the information we gave to the general public. Remember that. Remember that. Because this is the things that are. This is what they called hate speech. This is not the attacks that were happening to Jewish Americans here in New York City was happening long before Gaza. No, during the pandemic and prior to that, nobody, from the mayor straight down, did nothing to resolve this situation.
And in another case, they circled people while yelling anti-Semitic slurs at them, sending the victims running into a nearby synagogue for safety in Borough Park yesterday. The attacks happening during the Sabbath, the holiest day of the week for Jewish people. And they come just a day after a Jewish man was beaten in Times Square by people taking part in a pro-Palestinian protest. News 4's Adam Harding is live in Borough Park with the new information on these attacks. And Adam, police believe the same group is responsible for multiple attacks here.
That's right, Gilma. And tonight, both cases are being investigated as possible hate crimes. Tonight, the NYPD saying they will step up their patrols to make sure that this community feels safe in the wake of recent attacks.
Understand this. All you got to do is go online. The receipts are online of all the attacks in Brooklyn, in Queens, on Staten Island, in the Bronx. People were attacked on a daily basis. Now, I could sit here and criticize the NYPD and all that, and they're doing a job. But the thing about it is, it comes from the top. If the police department's hands are tied and they're told, do not arrest these people, do not prosecute these people, if they're arrested, they're released immediately without bail, because we have the no bail reform, which has hurt the city of New York. They arrest people that have created violence in New York during protests. But guess what? A couple hours later, they're let go again. Guarantee if you arrest these people, run their name to the system, most of these people are the same people that are causing these situations throughout the country. Seattle, San Francisco, Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, so on and so on and so on. These people, are, they're radical actors that constantly doing this. And people will, people in our government will not prosecute them. Yes, there is a freedom out there to protest. That is part on there. When it becomes violent, then it violates the Constitution. And you got to remember, a lot of these are kids that are out there, and they're misinformed because of the education that they have. Kathy Hochul says, "Well, we got to educate the kids in the schools." The problem is that they're already doing this to the kids, and the reason why we have some of these kids that are in these protests is because of these misinformation, hate speech type rhetoric that's going on in our universities. There was a video from PragerU where a PragerU reporter went out to talk to people on a university campus. And this guy walks up and calls the police on them and tells them, "Oh, they're threatening people." And so like cops show up, and the cops are like, "Well, what has he done?" He said, "Well, it's because of what he says." And the cops told him, it says, "He has the freedom of speech here. Has he physically threatened you?" He says, "No." Well, there's nothing we could do. They tell me what law has he broken? He said, "Well, it's my safe space." I said, "Well, that's, he has a constitutional right. You have a constitutional right. No laws were violated here." And so that's the thing you have to put in the minds of these kids in these schools. Stop hiring these professors that were radicals from way back when. And yes, there are radicals teaching in our college universities over at Columbia and on the West, at UCLA and many other universities throughout the country. These are people that used to, are parts of the Weather Underground. Understand this. That basically were responsible for many crimes that they should have been prosecuted for, but those cases got dismissed because of certain situations. But these guys should have been in jail up to about now. So, Governor Hochul wants to freaking censor the internet. So what are your thoughts on that? Tell me in the comments below. Like I said, like I've always say, stay strong, question everything. Take a moment, inform yourself, because the receipts are out there. You could tell, listen to the words that are put on the screen for you. When these people on the news media, they tell you, well, this is what's going on and that, this and that. And it's hate, there's a difference between, what they talk about hate speech and hate crimes. There is no hate speech. There are hate crimes, yes, of course, obviously. But they won't go after those. They won't. They may arrest one or two here and there, but the true arrests that need to be done are not done. Why? Because the money that funds them are the same money that funds our politicians. Put that in your mind right now and look it up. Go ahead. So until next time, thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And I hope today is the day I've earned your subscription. We'll see you on the next video. Thank you for tuning in, and bye-bye now.
Thanks for watching. Before you go, please comment, like, and share this video. Also, if you haven't yet, please subscribe as this helps the reach of our channel. Finally, as a content viewer, you have that ability to help support this and many other channels. Especially now more than ever since the passing of a new law in the United Kingdom that will diminish the reach of many channels and affect our advertisers. If you wish to help grow this channel by financial support, you have two ways. There are two links in the description below. The first will send you to a pay site where you can make a monetary donation. The second will send you to our gear store where you can purchase t-shirt, mugs, and other specialty items. Any additional discounts will be listed on the main page. Once again, thank you for watching and your support.